Britain at least wants the best of both worlds and has just authorised the construction of a new nuclear power plant, the first in a generation. It'll be built by a French-led consortium. And according to the plan, it will help power the UK's grid for 50 years. And more now on the green versus conventional debate with Fred Roeder, the director of the Young Voices International Advocacy Group, joining us live here on RT. Thanks very much for coming on the programme today. Let's get straight to it here. The biggest argument being that green energy is pushing the prices up. Now, look, I understand it's a bit of a complicated subject, but can you melt it down for us and explain how is that possible?
Yes, so let me try to explain it with a simple example. Imagine you have various consumers going to a grocery store, supermarket. Some of them just want to buy a bottle of beer for €1, and others say, no, actually I would like to buy a bottle of champagne for €30. In normal life, people would just buy €1 for the beer, and those which buy champagne pay €15 for or €30 for the champagne. In the German energy market, it's actually different. People would, the champagne buyers would pay something like €2, and all the beer buyers would also pay €2 in order to subsidize the champagne buyer. And that's basically in the energy market. If you buy energy from legacy energy carriers such as coal or nuclear power, you subsidize those which demand energy for a much higher price, and that are the renewable energies such as wind and solar power.
But when you bring up issues, I mean, if I can just jump in here, Fred, just for a moment, though, because you brought up the issue of coal power, you talk about renewable power, that of nuclear power, but I suppose at the end of the day, Fred, transitioning to new power sources was never going to be easy. I mean, of course, there are going to be some hiccups involved. Is it as simple as that?
I wouldn't call it hiccup. So the German Minister of Environment, who is a big fan of this transition into renewable energies, even put a price tag on this change and said it's €1 trillion. €1 trillion means that all companies and all individuals in Germany have to work 180 days just to pay that sum. In these 180 days, they don't earn any money to pay for their healthcare bill, to pay for their food, or to pay for their housing.
So, I mean, you are talking massive money here when you discuss issues of €1 trillion. I mean, the German green energy taxes amount to roughly that of an Irish bailout per year. You bring up the issue of €1 trillion. Can I ask you this, though, Fred? Why is Germany so adamant? For example, France or the UK have no problem with conventional and nuclear power. Why does Berlin?
It happens when policies, especially energy policy, is conducted with ideologic beliefs and not common sense understanding how actually supply and demand works. So let me just explain that. If you produce renewable energies in Germany, you have a guaranteed price the consumers have to pay for this energy. That means you can just produce, even if no one actually wants to have your energy, you are entitled to sell it. And that created in Germany a so-called energy bubble. So a lot of people like farmers or municipalities are producing energy no one actually needs, but they're entitled to sell it. And at the end, it's consumers paying it. And even when you say in your report that industry has to pay higher costs, at the end, it's consumers which have to bear these higher costs industry have to pay, because at the end, products will be more expensive if the energy to produce these products is more expensive.
So as you're saying, at the end of the day, it's a consumer who has to bear the burden, the brunt of the additional costs. But let me ask you this, Fred, at the end of the day as well, who is profiting?
It's a bulletproof investment at the moment to build a windmill in your yard or to put some solar panels on your roof. Government is even subsidizing the loans you need to actually afford these things, and then you get a guaranteed price for every kilowatt hour you produce. That's a bulletproof investment, and a lot of people are doing this because it's a good way to make money. But at the end, it's us consumers paying for it. And let me just point this out. Germany actually has an oversupply of energy at the moment. There's often way too much energy in the power grid. So Germany has to get rid of the energy. And they pay other countries to actually accept this energy. Countries such as the Czech Republic and France have to take Germany's energy, especially when it's very windy or sunny. And then in other days, for instance, in a winter day, especially the more we get rid of fossil powers and nuclear power, in cold winter days where there's maybe even no wind, consumers, the Germans, will have to buy French nuclear power to actually lighten the Christmas tree. So it's bizarre. It's actually not getting rid of nuclear power, it's just outsourcing it. to France or the
It's
Czech
incredible,
Republic.
Fred. You say that as Germany sometimes finds itself with too much power. Still, though, the burden of the price falls on the shoulders of the consumer. Fred Roeder, the director of Young Voices International, the advocacy group, thank you so much for joining us here on RT Today.
Thank you.